Dennis, how goes
Hey,
it?
how
Doing
you
all right?
doing, man?
All right. Good to see you, brother.
Good to see you, buddy.
How about that Zachary White? Talk about him a little bit when we get started tonight. How about Zachary White?
Zachary is an 8th grade student at Allen Middle School. He's 5'11", and he weighs about 150 pounds. He run tailback as well as linebacker. He's always been a defensive player all the way down the rec, and now he's moved to a tailback. And yesterday his team was down to the top team in middle school, Ferndale, and he third quarter touchdown, fourth quarter touchdown, two-point conversion, about 20 tackles, and that's the best game that we've seen him play.
Where will he be going to high school? Any idea?
He'll be going to Ben L. Smith High School.
Ben L. Smith, Golden Eagles. So you're probably keeping in close touch with Coach Kirkpatrick about Zachary.
We will make that connection as soon as football season is over.
This is his 8th grade year?
This is 8th grade year.
Wow.
And he'll be going over to Ben L. Smith.
And they're having a good year, too, aren't they? The Allen. What's Allen's nickname?
Allen is
Vikings?
Allen Vikings,
okay. Having a good year.
Yeah, they're having a pretty good year. Basically, Allen has been at the bottom of the totem pole for a long time, many years. You know, Coach Mack from over at Dudley, he was the one that
Curtis McMillan.
Yeah, Curtis McMillan. He had that program on fire back in the day. It was hard to beat Allen back in the day.
He was the head coach.
He was the head coach.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah, he was the head coach at Allen for years, and that was the hardest team for us to beat.
I bet you that was a disciplined team. Man, because I've been around Coach McMillan quite a bit. Now I bet you that was a disciplined team.
Yes, sir.
There.
And you know what you call the coach, Coach Weeks. You call Coach Weeks the other night. You call him Schwarzkopf.
Norman Schwarzkopf.
Norman Schwarzkopf.
Weeks,
so you can imagine that's Schwarzkopf Jr. over Curtis McMillan. So both of those guys, Weeks and McMillan, they have the same type of discipline, mannerism. So you can imagine playing football for those kind of guys.
How about your Tar Heels last week? We left here, they were battling, they were in pretty good shape. Had a delay of game penalty that really hurt them. They lost that one, but we left here watching Eric Ebron go at it. TJ Logan didn't look bad, but the Heels lost to the Hurricanes. That's a game many feel like the Heels should have won. Yeah, Andy, what was the key? It was 3rd and 1, around about the 20-yard line. Then, consequently, they got a penalty that made it down 3rd down and 6. Then they got another penalty. Then that made it 3rd down and 11. Yeah. And then they didn't converge, and now you're in field goal. That could have been the game. 5 minutes and 20 seconds left. And I was reading about that too in an article too. Brent Renner said he went and got the play from the sideline, came to the line, and the official was standing between he and the ball to give the defense time to get on the field. Carolina made a late substitution, and they got to give the Hurricanes time to react and respond, and the play clock is running down, so the official said there would be a pop or a jump, and that usually means they restart the play clock. So Brent Renner thought they were going to restart the play clock, so he wasn't in any hurry when he came to the line. He was waiting for the official to re-signal, stop, and restart the play clock. He never did. They got killed on that delay game. Yeah, you're exactly I'm not overly saying I'm battling for the Heels, so it's never going to be. But in that case, I'm wondering, man, by what he's telling me, they should have got a restart. Yeah, they should have got the restart. Been a delay game. You're exactly right. And anytime in that situation, a restart is the next thing that'll take place. And I'm guessing that he anticipated That's what he was expecting. And so in his mind, okay, this is going to take place, and now we want to get the penalty, and we've got the time, but it didn't happen. And the key word there, even for all the way for Brent Renner, and plus for the coaching staff, key word there was a lot of confusion. Yeah. When you have a confusion at the end of a ball game, usually the team that is in the midst of the confusion, you'll be the team that's going to be victimized. Get burned. Yeah, you're exactly right. And the other mistake Brent Renner made was an interception, poorly thrown ball, and then I always talk about 3 bads for a quarterback: bad pass, bad vision, and bad decision. And he made certainly a bad decision that time and cost his team the game. We've had a chance to talk about Zachary White with the Allen Vikings' big win yesterday. They beat Ferndale, and watch out for Zachary White down the road. We may try to get him in here one night. Maybe toward the last Shane's Rib Shack Football and Focus at the very end of the year. We may try to sneak old Zachary White in here. That's Dennis's nephew. We talked about the Heels, what they did. What about the Carolina Panthers? I mean, they did quite well last Sunday. And all of a sudden, they've got a big game on Thursday night at Tampa Bay, a chance to go over 500 for the first time since back in, I think it was December of 2008, the last time they had a winning record.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Andy. We had an opportunity to go, and it was an outstanding
You and Nathan went to that game. Yeah, that's the game. They used to go to one game a year. They chose a good one.
And my daughter said for the first time in 4 years they won a game. And my wife never went to the game, so she went to this particular one, and they won.
She might have helped.
She might have helped. So we're saying the next family event next year, we're going to take her, and so the Panthers will win. But, here it is that Captain Martinelli, first player of the game.
Oh, man.
Quarterback go back, throw a pass. Captain Martinelli taking 41 yards.
Former South Carolina guy.
Former South Carolina guy. Captain Martinelli, he jumped that pass, and he took it to the house. And Steve Smith had an outstanding game. And
Munnerlyn later on recovered a fumble on the sideline, too. And that was a tight situation. He recovered that fumble.
And Howie Long's son, he got ejected from the game.
Long,
it was a lot of, every time the referee get in the middle, it was a scuffle. And Steve Smith sometimes was right in the middle, and he'll jump out the way and taunt the St. Louis Rams, and they'll get penalty. But it was a great atmosphere.
I think Steve Smith must have been playing a little mind games, those guys last week.
Yeah.
What about that Florida State-Clemson game? Did you watch any of that one?
Yes, sir. I watched it all. I was going for Florida State. Watson did an outstanding job. A lot of people had him under the radar. Tosh Bard has been in the radar. Tosh Bard had a terrible game. He really did. Clemson, Florida State, and if they continue to play like that, you can almost move Oregon out of the way and put Florida State and Alabama right there.
Alabama, Florida State for the national championship.
Yeah, you're exactly right.
What about my man, my team, NC State, went down to see Florida State this week? Give NC State any chance going down there? Brandon Mitchell got their quarterback back. They may be using him as a sacrificial lamb. He may go to Florida State. He may get in that game. He's been out about the past 4 or 5 weeks. He may get in this game, play a quarter here, and maybe get hurt again.
You're exactly
Tough Florida State team.
Anytime, Andy, you're going into Seminole territory, and they are playing the best ball. It take me back to the days that they had the coach, Tommy Bowden, when he was there.
Coach Bobby Bowden.
Bobby Bowden,
exactly.
Bobby Bowden there, and no one could ever beat them in Florida. So now they are playing the best ball, Florida State, and they have a freshman quarterback, a true freshman quarterback. Everybody is talking about quarterbacks like Tosh Bard, Bridgewater, and then the gentleman in Texas,
Johnny Manziel. Texas A&M.
So everybody's talking about those quarterbacks and leaving Watson out, and now you've got to put Watson in as one of the top quarterbacks as well.
Yeah, Florida State back in the day when they had Deion Sanders, prime time. They number 21, one of the best all-time players of college football ever.
But yeah, Florida State is doing. That was a great game. I mean, they just blew Clemson out the water, man.
How about Dudley and Southeast? Do you think they're going to run the table?
Yeah, I think so.
Both those teams going to run the table?
If only thing about, I think Southeast have a better chance than Dudley right now, because Dudley still have one team in the way that can be Achilles' heel to them, and that's Page Pirates. Southeast got over that hump. And
in that Page game?
In that Page game, because Page was threatening to come back 6 inches away. 6 inches away, that's the size of a sub, 6-inch sub. You can imagine that Gavin was only 6 inches away from taking that thing into overtime and possibly upsetting Southeast by 6 inches.
You know what? Captain Munnerlyn said the difference in he being out of bounds and he recovered that fumble on the sideline was I think he was the one that said it, his 8-inch shoe. Just a small shoe and a small foot. If he would have had the Subway foot-long foot,
it would have been out of bounds, yeah. And so I think that if Page played a complete game, they look outstanding, but they played Grimsley.
Right.
And so you can't really measure their defense because their offense was so spectacular.
Well, they really would have a position to be in a spoiler's role, though. Page would go to Dudley next week and really be in that spoiler situation.
You're exactly right. But Andy, one thing about...
I tell you what, Dennis, let me butt in quickly before we forget this one. We always talk about how there's going to be one player in that Page Grimsley game, this kind of the unknown player that comes in and becomes the turning point, the key player of that game. Timothy Wharton, 3 touchdowns, 2 receiving, 1 recovered the fumble. And every year there's a player that shows up. Maybe don't expect this guy to be a key player. He was the key man out of nowhere that night.
Right, and then you talk about Timothy Wharton. Last year, you have to remember, he caught a touchdown on Dudley right on the outside, right down near the end zone. Coach Britt told me that they designed that play for Wharton, so they had some design plays because everybody was on Hatfield. And so Wharton, he was wide open all by himself because everybody was looking for Orlando Hatfield. And so Wharton has been with Page 3 years as a receiver, and this year he's coming into his own because you don't have all those players that he had to play behind.
That's right.
So he's a star now. You're right, and he had a come out game, and so did Dominique Britt.
Yeah, Dominique Britt had a solid game too. What about this Northwest Guilford team playing tomorrow night, taking on Glen, but they've got Easter Scythe down the road? Do you see Northwest Guilford to be one of those teams that might be practicing on Thanksgiving Day?
Almost definitely. Coach Woodruff, he's one, and we talk about discipline coaches. He's a solid discipline
He's
coach.
A football man, football all the way, football only.
Eat and sleep football. He have a very high football IQ, very humble, very humble. That is one of the coaches that I have become to know. He used to be very quiet, and now once you get to know him, he would talk football all day long.
The best thing about Coach Woodruff in him is you just sit back and listen. You can learn so much.
You're exactly right. And one thing he's done, Andy, he have reinvented the wing T in high school football because he have the right personnel to run the wing T. And not only does he have the right personnel, but he have a plethora of players that he bring in and out. He'll wear you out.
Yeah, he's almost got like a feeder program in and out of his lineup.
Exactly. So when one go out, you're not losing anything because you're gaining that. His third string of backs can go somewhere and be a starter back.
Yeah, he and I were talking about that same thing this summer. We were talking about the fact some teams you've got one guy that maybe rushes on that year for like 1,500 yards. He's got like four guys who can hit you for 75 yards per game, but the other back's going to get maybe 175 a game.
Right.
He's got those guys in his backfield. They're going for 300 a game among the four backs. Yeah. Each one about 75, just a little over yards per contest. And they've already got like close to 2,500 yards rushing, getting close to 2,600 on this season, and that's going through 8 games.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And the Coach Woodruff system is a system almost like Coach Norwood used to have when a long time ago Norwood had a great system running that wing T, because what the wing T does, you have a certain back going to get you 3 yards, you have another back can get you 7 yards, then you have that back on the outside
you probably
can get you 10 yards.
You talking Pursley or Norwood?
Pursley. Tommy Pursley.
There you go.
Yeah, Tommy Pursley.
Exactly.
Tommy Pursley.
And you don't know who's going to get the ball.
You don't know who's going to get the ball.
Yeah.
I get.
Sometimes those backs they're very important players, but no one man is a primary prime time type player, a standout. So you know everybody kind of carries a load, and a lot of different people are doing 100 different things at the same time.
Yeah,
just tons of things.
You're exactly right. And they had Jacob McCain.
Oh yeah.
Big number 35, and McCain can get the 3 to 5 and the 7, and then they'll come in and bring the other little speedy back, and he'll get the first down and more. So
they had a kid named Terrell Timmons. They've had a bunch of those guys.
There you go. You're right. You're right. I'm getting my names together now, Joe.
Yeah, and McCann is on the roster. I'm not sure how much he's playing. He's on the roster, but Appalachian with the Mountaineers as a middle linebacker.
As a middle linebacker. That's I heard he's down the middle linebacker. And the thing about it is, Andy, what you have to look at is with Northwest. Not only that, Northwest have a great defense now.
Certainly.
This been the missing piece of the puzzle for the Northwest. They've always had a high powerful offense, but they had a defense they couldn't stop Northern as it
became a scoring contest.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you don't want that.
Exactly. You know, if they'd had a good defense last year, they could have won when T.J. Logan was out. T.J. Logan went down in the second quarter.
Yeah.
And Northern still went on to beat them because their defense wasn't as it is today. So, and you asked me a question earlier about the Dudley and Southeast. You want to still stick with that Dudley defense, and they have not allowed over 14 points this year
in the game. Right.
So you have to look at the Dudley defense versus the Southeast defense. That might be the tell of the story.
That's going to be an interesting game down the road.
Very interesting game. If that comes to the championship for the 4A Metro, it's going to be a game that I wouldn't want to be an official at that game, because that's going to be a close game. And anything that an official can do at the end could very well be what caused the person to lose.
You mentioned Zachary White's game yesterday. I was in at this Kaiser game. Went down to see Kaiser. Bobby Stutz, one of our kids who's followed I guess GreensboroSports.com, and he was forced to. Anyway, we had to see his team, Kaiser. They led that game 6-0 until there was just 2 minutes and 37 seconds left in the game.
Wow.
Then they lost that game 22-6.
Yeah.
Fourth quarter, 2:37 left in the ball game, and then Aycock scores in a touchdown run. Then they get a fumble recovery, took it back 48 yards. Then they got an interception, took that back 77 yards, I think it was, 76.
Yeah.
They scored 22 points in 2 minutes and 37 seconds to win that game 22-6.
That's amazing. And Don, the math, man, we can ask Don the time of that. They almost, and they scored, and every 30 seconds they scored a touchdown almost, right?
Yeah, close to it.
Wow, Don, is that right? Almost every 30 seconds. And the thing about it is, in the game, and I always tell people, even when I was coaching at any level, it's not over until zeros is on that clock.
That's right.
It doesn't matter. I've seen, like you say, Andy, you can score a touchdown in 7 seconds easy in a football game, 50 yards in 7 seconds on the pass.
And if there's a penalty on that last play, the game can't end on the penalty. They got one more strike.
They got one more shot at it.
Saw Mosley do that against Durham Hillside back in
what you were saying.
September.
That's
sure
right.
Did.
And that right there was a huge dagger in the heart of Durham.
Pretty much put them away.
Right.
So these teams that are left, the local high school teams, which teams do you see practicing on Thanksgiving morning this year?
I see, first of all, Dudley.
Okay.
See Southeast.
Okay.
And you can almost put Page Pirates in the mix in that 4A, but then you have to look at as well Southern Alamance. You know, what can Southern Alamance do to stay alive?
Right.
Because Southern Alamance can be another team in the 4A Metro Conference that could easily be that team that sneak in. So I think right now you have to have those three.
So you're going with Dudley, Southeast, and Page?
And Page.
Talking about our Guilford County teams in particular, do you think it'll be Dudley and Southeast and Page? Anybody else practicing Thanksgiving morning in Guilford County?
Even in the Northern. We can go to Northern. We can go to, let's go to that real quick. Northern, Eastern Guilford will get in the playoffs. Eastern Guilford
But do you think they'll still be there come about round 3 or 4 headed toward Thanksgiving Day? That'll be about round 3.
That'll be round 3 coming out.
Round 3, yeah.
Yeah, okay, let's go back. Let's go back. I was looking at something in a different perspective, but let's go back to the Southeast and Dudley now. Let's go to round 3. Yeah.
Round 3.
Who
will be there? Yeah. Who will be there?
I think it's going to be Dudley and Southeast. Those two teams. And then it's going to be Northern
Guilford
still for certainly.
Okay.
And High Point Andrews for certainly.
Okay.
Central for certainly. Northwest.
They'll still be on Thanksgiving Day.
Central still be on Thanksgiving Day.
That's 6. Okay. Okay. 6 teams remaining by round 3.
Right, and I'm going from each conference, so yeah, I think we're gonna have 6 teams about round 3.
Okay.
Because in the years past we had at least 3 or 4, right?
Sometimes
to your recollection, just about 2.
About 2 or 3. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
get to round 3,
this
it
year
starts getting whittled down.
Yeah. And see, the thing about it this year is, Andy, when you look at Northwest and High Point Central, they very well have to play each other in that second round easily.
There could be, yeah.
You know,
well, let's see. I think Central may go small 4A. I know Northwest is going large 4A, 4AA.
Right,
they're going 4AA.
So you think that they're going to be
Page would go 4AA. You could, if you were setting this thing up and Page made the playoffs, if you were playing the regional pod, which I think they got rid of the regional pod, but we saw it a couple of years ago. We saw Page in Northwest. I think it was in round 2.
Round 2, yeah.
We saw Southeast and Page in round 1.
In round 1, yeah. Then so I'm like you, like Coach Woodruff was saying, the gentleman on his staff, that's all he do is watch how this work out. And so you're well.
It's going to be interesting. Going to be interesting.
And then usually the last game of the season, that's when you're making your predictions, and you've been right since about 5 years in a row on how these things are going to turn out. You're very, very smart in those polls.
I actually looked back at that the other day, kind of looked back my old file, see how far back I went when I was actually close to being on the money. I went back all the way to Abe Lincoln and the Rail Splitters. Heck of a team. Abe Lincoln and the Rail Splitters. That was basketball, but it's still pretty good prediction. Let's get your final thoughts on this, Dennis. Tonight you got the Carolina Panthers at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Panthers 3-3, Buccaneers 0-6. Panthers make it 4-3?
Yeah, they have Tampa Bay has been a team that they have not been able to beat, so we hope tonight that they'll go above 500. And you and I talked about Ron Rivera's job and the games that he had to win, and we think about the margin, that victory that he won by, especially with the Giants and then with Minnesota. So tonight is going to be one of those games that put him over 500 that the talk won't be as loud for Rivera's job, and so you'll go with 500.
I think Rivera's job is a lot safer now than the Tampa Bay coach Greg Schiano. Greg Schiano at Tampa Bay,
100%
his job is kind of on thin ice right now.
Yeah, his job is kind of like almost envelope away, so to speak. You know, when he open it, you know, they say you have to go or you lose 2 more. You know, the season is almost over.
It's like being at Shane's Rib Shack on a Thursday night, Football in Focus, with our main man Paul being here tonight, checking out the clientele. Good group of people have come together here this evening to enjoy some very good food here at Shane's, and just about time to wrap them up, Dennis. We're close to the final countdown, the final call here tonight.
Yeah, and great game great games last week. I was talking to Don Moore earlier about the scoreboard, that how the scores just flooded in because the game we did last week was so fast. At one point, we didn't even have time to even look at the scoreboard.
Yeah, then all of a sudden it started slowing down. That first quarter, the best first quarter of the year, 9 minutes off the first quarter clock on the opening drive of the game when Grimsley scored to make it 3-0. And Scott Johnston got a text from contact of ours into the game. Scott Johnston tore the MCL. He's done for the year. He is done. It's kind of a shame. Scott Johnston, Grimsley will not play again this year.
Yeah, you was wondering because that was the whole conversation that you and I had going into the third quarter. They was doing a lot with Johnston.
Oh yeah, what happened? He tore that MCL.
Yeah. And we know you didn't want to suspect that it was a major injury, but you knew it was something. That, and you'd hate to see a young man career, a season so far go down the drain due to injury.
Well, Dennis, what are you expecting tomorrow night? Going down to see Southeast Southern Alamance? Think the Falcons take care? And plus, one final note, I've always got these ideas in my mind. I'm going to spit these out when I can still pull these back at this late stage of our game here tonight at Shane's Rib Shack. But again, talked to a guy today up on Battleground Avenue who stopped by business for just a couple of minutes. Said, saw your interview with that Southeast Gopher quarterback. So I know people are going back seeing these Football in Focus shows long after they were actually committed and we produced these shows. So again, people go back and watch these later. But what about tomorrow night? Southeast Southern Alamance, Falcons take care of business?
Yeah, they will, but it won't be easy because I almost gave you thought I was giving you the wrong score last week when I told you that they was up on Dudley 14-6. We had to look at that thing 4 or 5 times to make sure, you know, because usually when I give you scores, you know, you can tell that, you know, you gave me that look and I was like, yeah, this is the score, this is it. And so, because anything come from Don Moore, we know that it's the correct score. When it comes from other people, you know, we're not doubting them, but you kind of want to make sure.
Right.
So when it comes from Don, that was straight from Don's desk, and Southern Alamance is a team. They lost to Grimsley by 55 to 40,
55 to 40, yeah.
And then you go and you score 2 touchdowns on Delta Panthers, the toughest defense in your conference.
And look out for Jonathan Lloyd, that quarterback athlete for Southern Alamance. He's a heck of a player.
Southeast cannot afford to go to sleep tomorrow. If they do, it can very well be their first loss, but it's going to be the 3-headed, well, we can't call it a 3-headed monster no more Southeast. We have to say 5-headed monster.
Yeah, they've got a lot of backs.
Because they have the 2 other guys. Boswell come in the game, make that 4.
Antonio Moore, and you got Shakir Turner, and hopefully they've got C.J. McThay. He was out last week. Hopefully he's back tomorrow night as well. We'll see, and then plus the quarterback Bubba Craven can run the ball as well.
Can run the ball as well. So that's going to be a great game. And now these last 3 games are going to be very crucial for the 4A conference because it can be someone like a Page, someone like a Southern, make a spoiler and make this thing a 3-way tie. Very interesting on how these last 3 weeks are going to go in the 4A. But I look at Southeast coming away tomorrow with a 2-touchdown victory.
All right, that's Dennis White on the site here tonight at Shane's Rib Shack, and about time to crank up that about 8:15 or so flight. Get ready to fly out of here. Thanks to those that came out tonight. Again, Stuart Barefoot began our program talking about the UNCG homecoming and other things, MLB baseball, ACC football preview, and other topics with Stuart Barefoot. Then checked in with the Northwest Guilford Vikings. We had Christian Dix. We had Mark Murphy. Also checked in with Kevin Henry and Sean Clark, Coach Joe Woodruff, and Brady Woodruff. Brady, his offensive almost his offensive coordinator. He's like the man in charge of the offensive system over at Northwest Guilford. Brady doing a fine job. Brady Woodruff checked in tonight. And Dennis White, Don Moore, also Paul, and the entire group here at Shane's Rib Shack. Hope to see you again next Thursday.